Looking for a quick and delicious dinner? You've come to the right place. These chicken enchiladas are plump, cheesy, and full of flavor. Stuffed with shredded chicken, topped with a layer of sauce and lots of cheese, and baked until everything is bubbly and melted. These chicken enchiladas will quickly become your family's favorite weeknight meal. I discovered this recipe a long time ago, and it's always been a crowd pleaser wherever I served it. And they're ready before you know it. So let's get to it. So first we're gonna prepare the shredded chicken. For that I'm going to use 2 large chicken breasts that I'm boiling with some salt for about 25 to 30 minutes. After they're done boiling, take them out of the water and place them in a large bowl to cool down for a bit. With 2 forks, we're gonna begin shredding them into bite-sized pieces. You can also use any shredded chicken you have laying around in the fridge. If you don't have any, you can always buy a cooked rotisserie chicken from the grocery store and shred it at home. Now let's prepare some veggies for the sauce and filling. Firstly, dice 1 large white onion into fine pieces. Cut it in half and then slice it. Careful not to cut your fingers. Then 3 cloves of garlic, slice them into small pieces. And now for the bell peppers, also called capsicums. I chose some brightly colored bell peppers to make the sauce even more colorful. So firstly cut them in half, then slice them, and then slice them into cubes. Lastly, I'm gonna use a handful of green olives that I'm gonna cut into halves. This will bring a great aroma to your enchiladas, so don't skip them. Now that we've got our greeneries, let's get started on the filling and sauce. Place a large pan on the heat and add in some olive oil. Then we're gonna add in the onions and saute them for about 5 minutes. Stir occasionally until they become translucent. And do not try to rush the steps or you'll get fried onions. Always keep your stove on medium heat. Next, you're gonna add in your garlic. The aroma will intensify almost immediately. Careful not to burn them, otherwise they will become very bitter. And now we're gonna add 2 cans of diced tomatoes. Stir them well and let them simmer for 20 minutes. Meanwhile, you can add in your aromatics and spices. I'm using dried oregano, dried thyme, some ground cumin, and a little bit of Mexican spice blend to give it that authentic taste. And of course, salt to taste. Mix it all up and let this simmer on medium-low heat for about 15 minutes. If the sauce evaporates too quickly, just add a cup of water to it. This is the point where you can save a few spoonfuls of sauce for topping your enchiladas. After your sauce has reduced, you can now add in your shredded chicken. Mix everything up and then you can add in your diced bell pepper and green olives. Make sure to save some peppers and olives for decorating as well. Next, we're gonna prepare our cheese filling. For that, you're gonna need 2 large eggs that you're gonna beat together in a bowl with a pinch of salt and some freshly ground pepper. And then add in your shredded cheese and mix. I'm using about 250 grams of pre-shredded mozzarella cheese. You can also use cheddar or a Mexican cheese mix if you can find it in your grocery store. And don't forget to save some for topping your enchiladas. And then you're gonna add this cheese and egg mixture to your sauce, but only after you've turned off the stove. If it's too hot, you might end up with scrambled eggs instead of a cheesy filling. So mix everything well, and once you start seeing some cheese pull action, you know it's gonna be done. Now set your filling aside and it's time to prep our tortillas. I typically use store-bought flour tortillas because they're easy to find in just about any store. To make them more pliable and make sure they're not gonna break, I'm going to heat them up in the microwave for just 30 seconds. If you want to make your own flour tortillas, let me know in the comments down below. I have a great recipe for you. Now your filling is ready, your tortillas are nice and hot, so let's start assembling your enchiladas. Place a spoonful of your cheesy chicken filling in the middle of your tortilla. I like my enchiladas plump and generously stuffed rather than skimpy on the filling, even if it gets messy at times. You can also add some extra diced bell pepper and some olives. Then carefully roll up your tortilla so it doesn't spill. You can either fold it like a burrito by closing both edges, or you can just simply roll it up, closing only the bottom part of your tortilla, whichever is easier for you. And then you're gonna add them to a baking tray, all snug up next to each other. Don't get too stuck up on trying to make them all even, especially at first. After all, this is meant to be a deliciously comfort meal. And it's time to add our toppings. The sauce we saved up at the beginning, and then some shredded cheese. Be generous here, the cheesier the better. And lastly, I'm gonna add some diced bell pepper and olives, both for the color and for the taste. This recipe makes enough for about 8 large tortillas. But don't worry, if you don't finish them up, you can keep this fresh in the fridge for up to 5 days. So they're great for a weekly meal prep as well. Now place them in your preheated oven at 200 degrees Celsius or 400 Fahrenheit and bake them for about 20 minutes or until all the cheese is melted and bubbly. I served these enchiladas with chopped cilantro, diced onions, and some lime zest for a little bit of freshness. But you can also garnish them with diced tomatoes, avocado slices, or even a dollop of sour cream, whichever your heart desires. I like my enchiladas plump, juicy, and extra cheesy. So if this sounds like your kind of chicken enchilada, give this recipe a try. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.